All right, Preston, today we're going to be talking about the most important metrics to grow a YouTube, social media, or podcast channel in 2025. And at the end, we're going to throw in there 5 metrics that you could cut everything else out pretty much and just focus on those 5 and you'll grow your channel no matter what it is. Preston, are you ready?
I am ready. And real quick, just to clarify, it's not that, some of these metrics don't matter. They all do matter, but we are going to be ranking these in order of what you think you should be prioritizing when you're trying to grow any of your channels. And we've had a lot of experience with this. Evan and I run a content agency where, currently we're at 120 million views for our clients. So we've had a lot of experience in this, and we're actually starting to make content of our own now to, use what we've learned to grow our own channel. So we're excited for this, and let's get on into it.
All right, so what we're doing is I'm going to be bringing up a picture, and you're going to be guessing what that is. And then we're going to decide on where that stands on the tier list. So,
all right, fair enough.
Here is our first one.
What is that? It's an arrow. I'm going to say that is shares.
An arrow? You got to look at that again, dude.
Okay, now I realize that is not an arrow. That is someone typing. I'm assuming this is a comment. I'm going to say comments. Damn, dude, this is harder. Now that we're doing this, I'm realizing this is going to be tough. And I feel like we could get flamed for some of these takes. But comments, I'm going to have to go with A. I'm going to have to go with
A. Okay.
I'm going to go with A. Actually, I might go S. The comments is how you get to know your audience. Obviously, when you're posting content, you're, especially if you're starting out, you don't really know what people think about it. And a lot of people will find out when they're first starting to post content that they really get no comments. And getting comments is a very strong indicator that what you're doing is getting a reaction out of people, so much so that they feel that they need to comment on your video. And so, comments is just, it's an S for a reason. It's probably the best metric for, knowing if your content is resonating with the audience. And on top of that, you actually get to learn more about the audience. So like maybe the content is saying like, I don't like this video, or, maybe it's criticism, and you can actually take that criticism and change your content from the comments. Vice versa, you can also get a really positive comment, and this is like, okay, so maybe I should create more of this content because my audience enjoys this. So yeah, comments are S tier for sure.
Absolutely, especially when you're beginning, like starting off, right? Like I've heard, like probably great for knowing what your audience wants, but terrible for mental health if you're big, right? Because there's so much hate comment.
For sure.
But that being said, like if you're just starting off, this is phenomenal. Like a comment about how your face is really long, that's never happened to me,
No.
All right, so comments are in the S tier. So let's go to our next one.
Clicks. That's clicks. So I'm assuming that's click-through rate.
Yep, you got it.
It's hard to say that's not S tier because, like, of course you want people to click on your content. So I'm going to be putting click-through rate at A, just below S tier, just below comments, because comments give you the most valuable information on your audience. And click-through rate is obviously extremely important because if no one's clicking on the content, they're not watching it. So super important metric. However, it can be a little misleading just because if you make a really good title and thumbnail and your click-through rate is super high, then maybe your video's not that good and people don't watch it. Then that metric isn't your end all be all. So just because people are clicking on the content, they're not staying through and watching it, then, that's not good at all. So click-through rate is important because obviously you want to make content that is clickable and people actually watch it or click on it. But it's even more important to make sure that people actually watch through the entire video. So I'm going to go with A. It's important. I almost want to go with B, but I think I'm going to...
Really?
Almost. Because the only reason is if you make click-through rate your number one priority, then you're more likely to make clickbait content, which will not be a good form of content.
If you optimize that in the long run, you're just getting porn, right? Like you're just going to... It's not going to be exactly
what'd you say?
Okay. Picture of AirPods. Picture of boobs. You click that, right?
Right. I'm clicking on the boobs.
Picture of apples. Picture of boobs.
Yeah.
Okay, you just keep doing that
I'm
forever.
starting to see where you're going with it. Yeah, no, actually, that makes that. Yeah, okay? I see what you're saying. If you're just going for click through rates, eventually you're just going to put porn on it thumbnail.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
but what I was getting to anyway is click through rate is binary, right? Like it's a click or a not click. Comments are information. Like it is also binary. You comment or you don't comment, but then there's information within the comment. So that's what you're saying distinguishes it from S tier to A or B.
I actually think B now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
I think for the primary reason is if you put it at your number one, you're more likely to make clickbait content, which means people are gonna get tired of that and they're not gonna click on your content anymore. So I would say
Yeah.
put that at B.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll move on to our next one. Preston, shield your eyes.
All right, so I'm gonna take a guess that's downloads, podcast downloads.
Yeah, pretty good guess. Yeah, good job.
Podcast downloads. So I'll put a hot take on this. I don't care. So okay, if you're only doing an audio podcast and that's all you ever do, that's S tier, obviously, because that is your number one metric. However, especially the way we do things, I really disbelieve in only making an audio version. I'm not saying don't make it. Audio podcasts have their place. People will choose to listen to that in the car. You should if you're making a podcast, you should absolutely have a audio podcast for that purpose of the people that want to listen to their car or they don't like to watch whatever.
Mm-hmm.
However, making the downloads your number one metric for us is, I'm going to say D tier because I want to be very careful here. The reason I'm putting this in D tier is because I don't think people should prioritize the audio version of their podcast because it is far less shareable. When you go on Instagram, you go on TikTok, and you see the clips from podcasts, none of them are ever audio because you can't get that clip out of it. So the reason I'm putting this in D tier is not because it's actually bad. It's just, again, you're making that your number one priority, you're only making an audio podcast, it's so much harder to get it out there organically. Therefore, I'm putting that at D. Again, if you are only making an audio podcast and that's the route you went with, of course, that's S tier. But for us, the way we do things, the way we like to make content and get things shared, audio is just not the way to go for us.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like I was saying before, the binary versus information, like this is literally just a down. You don't know why they downloaded. You don't know when they downloaded. You just know that they downloaded. It's not information about how good the title was. It's not information about how long they watch. It's just that they did it, that they might have liked it. And some people could download every podcast. Some people could download a podcast before they watch it so that they could watch it on a flight. It's not information about how good it is all the time. It's just saying somebody downloaded it.
Yep, I like that. Thanks, a good explanation.
Cool. All right, let's move to our next one. All right.
A ring. Engagement ring. Okay, so engagement rate is what I would assume this is for. It's between A or S. Let's go A for now. Okay, so the engagement rate is a very important topic because it's literally tracking, like, when people watch your video, how do they react, or if they react at all. The only thing that doesn't make it S tier is that it also tracks likes. And we'll probably get into this later. Likes aren't the best metric to track in terms of learning more about how your audience reacts to content. Engagement rate can also track things like expanding on the video, which, that does show engagement, but that's not quite giving us a ton of information. I would say engagement rate is at A tier because overall, yes, you want to see, if this video got a 15% engagement rate, that's well above the industry average of a 3% engagement rate. That is a good sign that this is more content you need to make. Only reason it's not S tier is because it doesn't quite give you that really valuable information that something like a comment would give you.
It doesn't dissect between likes and comments. It's just kind of a total overarching thing. Yeah.
It's like a 30,000 foot view of how did this video perform. So I would say A tier, not quite S tier.
And maybe that means it's good for total, if you're looking at a channel altogether, it's better because, for example, I give an example that I understand, BMI. That doesn't mean much except at a population level. It just means that people are overweight. Somebody who is more muscular and doesn't have as much fat could have a high BMI and be considered obese just because they're muscular, because all it is height and weight. But if you look at a population level, it's useful. So if you look at an engagement rate across a channel zoomed out, it's a general metric, but it's good for general oversight.
Agreed. I think
Okay.
A tier is perfect for it.
Sweet. Okay, let's go on to our next one.
All right, it's a tough one to guess. Here's the question: does this include all followers or just subscribes on YouTube?
It does.
All followers.
So we can talk about those two together, but that
Cool.
is what this means. Both.
So followers. I'm gonna go with a hot take on this one as well. Let's go C. Let's grab one on that C tier. Yeah. Because
Okay.
here's the thing. If this were 2012, this would be number one. The way social media and all these sites used to work is you have followers. When you make a post, your post goes directly to your followers. That's not how it works anymore. TikTok changed everything in 2019, 2020. They call it the TikTokification of social media. And so what this means is social media is now an interest-based graph. So these sites are so smart now that they know what your actual interests are, and they're going to serve you that content whether you're following those channels or not.
Yeah, like somebody could have 7,000 followers, and each one of them could be really engaged, comment everything, buy all their products, be a super good follower. But then somebody else could have 1 million followers and they get like 2,000 views. They don't get many views. They don't get many comments, anything like that. Their audience doesn't mean anything because, and you also could have an audience for 12 years. And when you first had them, they were really good. But then as you sit with them, they just subscribe to you once, and now you're sitting in their subscriber feed, but like they're never clicking on your videos or anything. They're just kind of scrolling past them. So it actually doesn't mean that much. Like,
yeah, another example too is like, whenever Evan or me post content that's related to like, social media growth or like stuff like that, a lot of our followers on our personal pages are people from high school and college and all these people that, they like us as people, but they're just not interested in that type of content. So they don't engage with it. And so, if you have 2,000 followers of people from high school and college, they, it's no hate to you, but they just might not be interested in what you're posting because that's not why they followed you in the first place. They just want to follow you for, learning about your personal life and stuff like that. They're not really in it for the actual content you're making. So followers don't mean a ton, especially in the new TikTokification of social media.
Yeah. Like imagine if you had a channel that was dealing with not having a pinky toe. Like that channel, the followers on that channel would be very engaged followers because I have a pinky toe. I'm not going to be following that channel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
cool.
Let's move on to our next one. So just to clarify, we're keeping that in C tier. Okay.
Likes. I'm going to have to go ahead and drop this one in D tier.
Ooh.
Yeah. Kind of like how we were talking about when we were discussing like engagement rate, or kind of like click-through rate. Likes give you no good information at all. It's simply someone that clicked a button. And I don't know about you, Evan, but when I go through social media, I have a weird habit of just liking everything that I ever come across. I click like. I don't know why.
Dude, I do the opposite. I actually don't like anything. I forget to like. I just don't think about it. That's funny.
So exactly. And so like, a comment tells you exactly how someone's feeling about the content. A share means that they thought it was valuable enough to share with someone. A repost means that they thought it was valuable enough to share with their entire audience. A like just doesn't tell you anything. It's literally just someone clicked a button for some reason. Some people like the content like Evan and they don't like it anyways because they just forget, and likes just give you literally no information at all. So that's D tier for me.
Yeah, I kind of like to mess with the algorithm too. Like I like to see what would happen if I just don't like anything. I want to see if it can guess it, and it totally does. So every single time, honestly, spot on. If I watch the video, it shows up something like that next time. So likes don't mean much.
Nothing.
Let's move on to our next one.
70 post count. So post count is actually S tier. And here's why. For most channels, and I'm talking about like 95% of channels, maybe not, your Mr. Beast, maybe not your Joe Rogans, maybe not the people that are absolutely 100% solidified in their audience. For most channels, if you 2x your post, you will 2x your numbers. If you 3x your post, you will 3x your numbers. That is just how it works. If you post more, you will get more. Post count is S tier. Post count is quite literally the only thing you can do to almost virtually guarantee more numbers on your profile. So if you only post once this week, you're only going to get the result of one post. If you post 10 times, then you will get the result of 10 posts. The more you post, the more you get. A lot of people really push for this quality over quantity metric. I think that is a massive mistake for 95 to maybe even 99% of channels. The only time that I think quality over quantity actually works is when you have reached the level of Mr. Beast, Joe Rogan, and these guys that actually matters. So yeah, no, I would have to say post count is S tier easily.
Yeah, I think that's great. Like, honestly, when you're first starting out, especially, like, posting as much as possible is the number one thing you can do, because you have to understand your audience. You have to learn from your audience. Like, comments are one way to learn. But you have to get as much stuff out there to learn what your audience likes. Step one is how many times you post. Step two is quality. And then once you're up there, then you just combine those two, and it's really high quality content spit out a bunch of times as much as possible.
Small little plug here, by the way. Evan and I, we run an agency for content, and we're at about 120 million views for our clients. If post count is actually what you're struggling with, and you just need to hire someone to really amp up your content, you can get the link below, and we will happily talk to you about that.
Cool. Let's move on to our next one. Preston, shield your vision.
I have no clue. You viewer of...
You are holding on to the viewer.
You're retaining the viewer.
Yes.
Retention. Okay. I think we have to go with S tier on this, because at the end of the day, when we're making content, and almost all of this is video content, if they're watching the whole damn thing, then you made something great. And that's very hard to do. Like, most people don't make content where everyone watches the full video. It's very difficult to do that. You have to have major influence or be very good at editing, frankly.
Yeah, like S tier YouTubers are like Mr. Beast. If you click on it, you're screwed. Like, you're watching the whole thing.
You're done. Yeah.
There's no way you're not watching that whole thing. Like, when a train is about to collide with like a big thing, it's just like there's no way you're not going to watch that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would agree then.
Yeah, I would have to say if I had to make an argument for A, it's that you're not getting that feedback of like what maybe someone's hate watching, but I think that's a push. I think that's a stretch. So let's make it S tier. It's if you make something and someone watches you retain them the whole way through, then you made some S tier content. So that is definitely S tier worthy.
Cool. And probably just put this on there. For example, like, if you're like us and we only have our high school friends following us on Instagram, it's probably not as great as, if you're a bigger channel, you have more people. That's way more important. So you can't judge it right off of the get-go. That gets more important the bigger you get, probably.
Yeah, I would 100% agree.
This one's going to be hard to guess, dude. I don't know how you're going to get this one.
I'm going to have to go with saves. Saves are good, but they're not great. This is probably going to be a C tier for me. If someone saves your content, it's obviously valuable. It's something they want to go back and watch again, which is really good, actually. That's fantastic if you made something that people want to watch multiple times over and over again. However, I would imagine, I don't have any actual numbers for this, but I think I can make a good guess that most people save videos and they never watch them again. So I think, I'm going to have to guess that's probably not... I would guess that is how most saves play out. And on top of that, kind of similar to likes in a way, because you just don't really get a ton of information of how people really react to the video. Saves are good. It's a good sign that you made something that people like. Doesn't give you a ton of information, though. I will say C tier.
I would say, if you're a food channel, if you're like, let's say you have a food Instagram, I think that's probably a better metric for that, because like, you're posting recipes, people are saving your recipes. That's probably a better metric for something like that. Generally, though, if it's just relaying information, you're not going to go back and watch a podcast about some philosopher talking about something. Like, it's just not something you're going to do. If it's a recipe, you go back to that. Even my girlfriend goes back and watches her own recipes that she's made on TikTok. So like that's huge for that side of things. But yeah, okay. Well, now that's in C tier.
I would agree. If you're in like that food recipe type thing, maybe I would bump that metric up to, B or A, maybe even S. But for most people, I would probably put it at C.
Sweet. Let's move on.
I have no idea what this is. I don't have the first guess at what this could possibly be.
So it's a kid handing another kid his elephant. He's
sharing. It's a share. I can't even guess that. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Shares. Shares are really good. A share essentially doubles the view count. So if someone shares your content, more people see it. Obviously, that's kind of the goal for 99% of people making content. I think shares is A tier. Shares is A tier. It's valuable enough for someone to share the content with someone, and that leads to you really upping your audience and upping your view count, which is very nice. I would say there's a few cases where it can be a little bit misleading on why someone's sharing it. Again, like Evan and I making content someone might be sharing it with a friend saying that, hey, look, this is what he's doing now. And it's not necessarily because of the content. So I would say shares is about A, not quite S, because the information isn't quite clear enough as to what it means, but shares is very good. It's very good.
It's kind of a weird dichotomy between shares and saves. Like saves are like a share to yourself.
Right. Yeah. The reason saves isn't up there is because it doesn't actually mean that you gained another viewer. It just means that someone liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say A tier for sure.
Yeah, I would say like silly stuff, definitely more shares in the
very shareable,
your group chats and stuff. But yeah, sweet. Let us move on. Okay, now open your eyes.
I'm gonna go with views. Go with views and impressions. That's disgusting.
I could not pull myself together for that one when I was making it.
Disgusting. So views for us, it has to be S tier because at the end of the day, especially for this type of content we work with our clients, it's very, a lot of it is educational content with a side purpose of promoting a business. If you're getting more views, you're ultimately growing a business, and that is going to be S tier for us. That's why we make content for our clients. So for our specific purposes, views are very important. That is, we make guarantees on like how many views we can get someone. So for us, views is absolutely S tier. It is the reason we are making content. It's perhaps the most valuable metric because that metric helps you with all of your other metrics too. If you have 2 million views with a 0.5 engagement rate, that's bad. Then that, it helps you identify what these other metrics actually even mean. Views is the most important one in my eyes, and it would absolutely be S tier.
So just for the people who don't understand, like click-through rate, and the reason click-through rate and views are different is because of how YouTube is pushing it out. Like you are clicking on it, and then if you do watch it, it's based on the algorithm that you get views. It's not about how many people are viewing it. It's about how the algorithm is pushing it out to people. So like that's the indication of YouTube or whatever platform you're on pushing it out to other people, right? Like the reach.
Yeah. Yeah. YouTube knows what a high quality view is and what it's not. And frankly, if someone's clicking on it and leaving immediately, they know that's not a high quality view and they will not push that video anymore.
Cool. Let's move on to the last one. Okay. Ready?
Watch time? Yeah, it's got to be watch time. So watch time is also going to be S tier for the reason that we actually just discussed. Essentially what we just said, this is why this is what gets people more views. It's actually this metric alone. And I would actually go ahead and just say this is the most important metric that you can have. Watch time is what YouTube and all these other sites look at to see like what is keeping their customers on their site. At the end of the day, these YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of these platforms, they are selling advertisements. That's how they make money. In order to do that, they need people on their site constantly all the time. And so the way they're going to do that is they are going to serve the content that most people enjoy watching the most. That way they stay on the website and they can sell more ads. So the number one indicator of what these platforms look at to decide what are we going to push out to our customers, it's watch time. That is point blank period. That is the number one metric they are using to decide that. Therefore, watch time is actually S plus because that's the metric that everyone's trying to hit.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk about how to improve watch time, since this is the most important one. We go ahead and we, like there's retention style editing, there's that kind of stuff. Really what we're trying to do is we're just trying to add as much value as possible, front load the value and scatter it throughout. You kind of taught me this, Preston, when I was first starting, was when you're making ads, you want to throw, one at the first minute mark, one at like the 3-minute mark, one at the 7-minute mark, and then go the 20-minute mark, then the 60-minute mark, really because people are watching mostly through that first part and then they start to fall off and drop off. So you want to use editing to leverage that away from that. So you want to keep people retained as long as possible. And then once they've invested enough time, they're not going to want to leave. Like, that's a huge human thing to do, is like, oh, I've invested so much time in this relationship, I don't want to break it up now. I've invested so much time into making this, I can't give up now. Like, that's a very human thing. And so we want to keep people as long as possible, to hold on to their, like, just grasp them as long as possible until they've invested enough time. And then we can pull back a little bit, not too much though. That's the importance of an intro, and what we do here for us.
And just to kind of like summarize that a little bit. So if you're trying to increase watch time, let's just 60 seconds, take the entire, let's use YouTube for example. This really does apply for every channel when you really look at it, but we'll just take YouTube for example. Really, this is where all the metrics come in to feed into this one metric. So we start off with a solid title and thumbnail, which is click-through rate. We want to make a package that is presentable, that gets people excited to watch the video. Once they click on the video, then it's all about how long can we retain these people, which will lead to watch time. And the way we do that is the first 30 seconds has to be restating what the title and thumbnail is. That way people realize it's not clickbait and they're actually getting what they clicked on this video for. B, you need to be putting all of the most valuable stuff in that video up front. That way people get in there, they're immediately fed something extremely valuable and they want to learn more about it. That's those two. If you do those two things, you will win on YouTube. It's just optimizing from there. So solid package that's presentable, getting people to click on it, and then something super valuable in the beginning that gets people excited to watch the rest of this video. And then from there, you just make high quality, high valuable stuff and get going.
So Preston, if we just had these, what are they? Five S tier metrics, would that be enough to improve a channel? If you just could see those metrics, would that be sufficient?
Let's see what the metrics we have. So we have comments, amount of post, retention, viewership, watch time. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, these are absolutely the five most important metrics that we're looking at when we're looking at these channels.
Would it then be a distraction to look at the other metrics?
The answer is yes. If you nail these 5 S tier metrics, the rest that are in A, B, C, and D will absolutely follow. So nailing these 5 is yes, absolutely. It's very sufficient for judging a channel. But I want to keep in mind everyone is making different types of content. We did talk about how saves are more important for the recipes, the cooking recipes and stuff like that. So it is different for other people. But again, at the end of the day, watch time is the number one metric. That is the one where YouTube and these other sites are looking at that specific metric to decide which content they're going to push out to more people. That's how you're going to get more viewership. But it's not to say that, these other metrics don't matter. Again, they all do matter to a degree. We're just ranking these based off of what type of information you're actually getting from this. So when we look at click-through rate is absolutely extremely important. it just can't be the number one metric, because if you're purely going for click-through rate, that means you're going to be optimizing a title and thumbnail to basically make it clickbait. That's not going to work. So, again, I just want to make sure that we're clear. Like, it's not that any of these in A, B, C, or D don't matter. It's just you want to prioritize these ones in S, and that will ultimately get you where you're trying to go and increase your viewership. So, yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, do you have any more comments on this, or are we all wrapped up?
I think that is pretty much everything. I just want to remind everyone that Evan and I do run a content agency. So if any of this sparked interest in you, and you just want to have a conversation on how you can increase any of these metrics that you personally care about, we do offer free consultation. So you can get one in the description below. And also, more importantly, if you like this video, give us a comment on some of the things that you liked the most about this video. That's going to help us make our next podcast in the future. So let us know what you liked. We will make more of that. And that is pretty much all I've got.
Yeah. Thank you guys for staying this long, and we will catch you in the next one.
Deuces.